After playing the beta a few weeks ago, I was cautiously optimistic for when the game opened up for everyone to play. You can watch the video where I talk about my initial thoughts of the game and where I outline the mechanics in the description or in the link in this video. Now that the game is out in early access, this is what I think of the game. The launch of this game has been pretty bad, to say the least. Whilst it is expected for an online-only game in early access to have a rocky start, this game has really set the bar for how bad it can get. Shortly after release, our channel, along with several others, attempted to stream this game to no avail. The one game I did manage to load, I was asked on chat how I managed to get in. Nobody was able to enter a game, being met with constant matchmaking errors. I even had to restart the game multiple times because it just froze entirely. This problem persisted for at least 2 days before some other channels, us included, managed to get into a game. But that didn't mean the game was matchmaking flawlessly though, and I still had to reload multiple times to get into a game. Unfortunately, if you do manage to actually get into a game, it's absolutely unplayable. You see, the game will start even if others have failed to enter. That means that, due to the high volume of people failing to enter, every single match I played had at least one person on the team that wasn't playing, but more often it was more than that. In the gameplay you're watching now, taken from our stream a few days ago, there are only 2 out of 6 players in game. This means that the already slow paced games becomes an absolute slog. My team were clearly going to win. Any firefight lost resulted in a painful traipsing back from the spawn point to chip away at the monster in the arena, then have a fight with the other player in which one of us would win. The loser would have very little health left, but because we were both trapped in the arena, there was no way to heal. So then the other person would return, inevitably win, and then the cycle would repeat itself over and over. It was impossible for the other player to win at this point, so this entire process was completely pointless. However, this pales in comparison to the match I'm going to show you now. In this match, there are also only 2 players left in the game. In this game, however, both of those players are on the same team. Instead of the game recognising that all of the players dropped, it made the 2 of us pointlessly complete objectives, which, may I remind you, is already a slow-paced process, to win a game that we could not possibly lose. The frustrating part is that I didn't even notice we were down to 2 players until near the end of the game. The map feels so empty even with 6 players that I assumed for a while that the other team would just crap. Aside from the game-ruining matchmaking problems, the game is still full of the same general bugs and jankiness of the previous build. Players getting stuck between objects, guns not shooting, random, unexplained deaths. As I said in my closed beta review, these quirks can be looked beyond because the core gameplay is still fun. That can still be said for this build of the game. Yet, somehow, this build is actually worse than the last, as the devs clearly haven't properly tested their game's matchmaking capability, despite having a closed beta in which to test that very thing. Other issues I have are extremely poor performance, despite the rickety visuals, very limited and clearly looped animations, jerky movements of players and NPC monsters, and just an extreme lack of polish. Again, I can absolutely forgive all this because it's free to play and it's an early access game, but unfortunately these issues do work towards painting the full, unfortunate picture of this game. The gameplay itself aside, there have been some changes. 3 of the 6 characters are now locked behind in-game currency and progression. In my opinion, locking half of the already small roster of characters is a little excessive. I've yet to see any of these characters actually being used yet, because I can imagine no one has sat through more than 2 games of agents to get enough of the currency to unlock everyone. Speaking of currency, I will point out that the microtransactions currently are now vastly cheaper at £34.49 for the most expensive box, as opposed to the ludicrous £75.99 the game was asking for in the beta. Of course, actually buying these coins isn't actually worth it, even with the price drop. The skins are dull, the emote art, whilst well drawn, is not exciting as a premium addition to the game. If you're spending money on this game, it's entirely just support development, which, to the developer's credit, is spelled out clearly below the purchases. I will be keeping an eye on this game every so often, and staying updated on what has been changed in the game in the coming weeks and months. But it is with genuine regret that I absolutely cannot recommend this game whatsoever in its current state. I will, however, say that it is worth at least keeping an eye on this game, especially since it's free. If the devs can ensure that you are playing a game with a full 6 players 90% of the time, this game would be enormously better, and all of the flaws will be much more forgivable, and I'd tell you to go and play it. But right now, waiting ages to get into a game to only play against no enemies suddenly makes all the game's flaws quite unagreeable. I won. It didn't really feel like an actual victory though, did it? That wasn't what I'd call blood pumping, but I guess you've now just witnessed... oh, look at that! Ah, brilliant. 2 T-poses from people who weren't in the game.